Welcome to this afternoon session. My name is Ben Hobart. In Cuyahoga County, over 186,000 people are living with at least one disability. But it's exciting to know that many are active in the community, working, volunteering, and living to their highest potential. Now, during this session, we have a trio of experts who work closely with our neighbors who are living with disabilities. These folks connect them to training, accommodations, and opportunities to help them be successful so that they can contribute their talents to our workforce right here in Northeast Ohio. So we have our panel today, and I'd like to introduce them. We have with us Cindie Merlino. She's the Senior Vocational Rehabilitation Counselor with the Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation and Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. That's a mouthful. Mm-hmm. We also have Nancy Sidell. She's a Program Officer with Cuyahoga County Workforce Development and Ohio Means Jobs. And finally, we have Mr. Willie Wright. He's the Program Manager for the National Caucus and Center on Black Aging or Age. So thank you, folks. We appreciate you being here. We really do.
Thank you for being here.
You know, I was looking at your resumes. You all have an impressive background of what you've done in your area of expertise. So instead of me reading that, I really want to hear from you. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've done, Cindie, and your background, and specifically, you know, what you're doing to help the client base?
Well, I started out with a program called Pathways. It was a contract with what used to be the Rehab Services Commission, and I did that for a couple of years, and that was mostly it was all with mental health clients. And then I had the opportunity to move over to Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, and I've been doing that for about 21 years. And right now I'm, working a general caseload, so I work with, all disabilities, all people. We also work with transition youth, 14 and above, and we help them transition from the world of high school to the world of work.
I see. Nancy, you've done a lot as well. Please share.
Sure. Well, I started in vocational rehabilitation, working for agencies that actually worked under Cindie's services at Ohio Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. And they provided job search training, career exploration, testing services for individuals with disabilities. And then after doing that for a little while, I was able to be hired by the county as a grant-funded position for disability services in the One Stop.
I see.
And I started there in 2005, and the One Stop then became the American Job Center where I am now, and still working with job seekers who come to our offices, people with disabilities, to help them navigate the services, but also get the accommodations they need and find the resources they need for their job search.
I see. So a lot of one-on-one interaction, or?
Yes, and staff collaboration, just partnering with the staff agencies, staff partners as well as the agency partners.
I see. Willie, your turn. You're up to bat, sir. Tell us a little bit about your program and what you all do.
Well, I've worked in nonprofit for over 30 years, and mostly in the beginning of my tenure with youth and families in the Columbus area. We had one of the largest after-school programs in Franklin County, and summer programs as well. And we transitioned from that, did some other things, moved to Atlanta, where I did some private things. I'm a cook as well.
Okay.
And so,
Culinary arts.
So, but interestingly enough, while I was living in Atlanta, being a member of Ebenezer Baptist Church, I worked with their Social Concerns Committee, where we worked with seniors and worked with families in reference to helping them transition into work and jobs. And so when I moved back home to Cleveland, connecting with the NCBA was not unusual. In fact, I went to NCBA as a participant.
I see.
And worked in the office and availed myself to the different opportunities, and worked with our client base in reference to helping them find employment, those individuals that are looking to get back into the workforce and make, for whatever reason, they make those transitions. And then from there, so from program, job counselor to program manager.
I see. When we were talking earlier, you mentioned about your background. I guess your father and your grandfather are members of the clergy.
Yes.
How did that impact your desire to give back to work, to help, and to assist people who need a little bit of extra help?
In our family, service was the norm. Giving back was the norm. My mom, who was a social worker, of course now retired, would always say that we have a responsibility to give back to the community. God has given much to us, and so that giving back was not a specialty; it was a given. And so not only myself, but my sisters as well are all involved or employed in service, in the service industry, in the community industry, be it from teachers to program developers, program managers, things of that nature.
I see. So Mom said, okay, we got to make sure you do this.
And there it is.
Outstanding. Now, you know, a lot of people are very intrigued who are watching this right now, and just, you know, how best do you engage, or how do you get people, clients, to come into your agencies? What's the outreach mechanism? How does that work?
We're the best kept secret, so sometimes people don't know about us. So we do have some, you know, ways that we get the word out, but we also, you know, we have a lot of repeat clients that come back. So, you know, if they need help again, because we do close the case after 90 days of successful employment.
Okay.
So if something should happen with that job, then they might, you know, need help again, so they come back.
Okay.
Word of mouth, you know, they tell their friends and that kind of thing. So, and then of course we have our partners that refer to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. And the same deal with you, Nancy? Same program? I mean, not program, but same situation?
Sure, yes, we actually are co-located in a few of the different county buildings when business operations are at normal running capacity. And we also have business staff who go out and connect with employers to bring the jobs in.
Okay.
So we host a number of virtual job fairs, and we do have a presence on social media that we are building, and we do have some outreach mechanisms that way.
I see. And Willie, you want to chime in?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, at NCBA, we all of that and then some. Of course, we connect with Ohio Means Jobs and our other workforce partners in reference to getting the word out. But one of the things that we're finding at NCBA is that we get a strong word of mouth from the community. So our job developer, our job counselors, as well as myself, we're out in the community. We're talking to pastors. We're talking to churches and organizations and senior citizen centers, and then we look at the workforce partners the employee partners that we're working with, and we're finding we're getting a lot of referrals from them as well because of the positive relationship that they've had with us in reference to joining with us, so that's important.
And I wanted to ask you each about that. I mean, your relationship with employers. I mean, I would assume that they reach out to you and say, we have a position available that we believe one of your clients might be able to fit the bill. Okay, how does that process work? Do you reach out to them? Do they reach out to you, or is it a little bit of both?
It's both for us.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We will, as I was saying before, our job counselors are literally out in the street beating the pavement pre-pandemic. Not so much during the pandemic, of course, but you know, just we see information, we go in and what we call you know, give them the story of what it is that we do, and then ask those employers, what are your needs?
Okay.
And what we're finding from employers, that employers are looking for that older worker, that person with a work ethic. And so, you know, we tell them what we do, and then when bringing those individuals to them, we make sure that they're vetted and ready, and so that develops a positive response from our employers, and then they will begin to continue to refer us for individuals for employment.
And Cindie, you were talking about earlier that you mentioned from 14 up your client base. So, I mean, where Willie's talking about persons' experiences, you know, what they bring to the table, how they may be able to assist a company. Now you got to do a little bit of coaching with the younger folk in order to be able to go into the workplace. Am I correct in that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And we do get a lot of our referrals too from the schools, obviously, from transition coordinators. And we have a division of employer and innovative services that actually reaches out to employers in the community and lets them know about our services.
Okay.
And, you know, that way, you know, people know that if there's somebody that has a disability that is working for them and needs some help, that we're here.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is it sort of training, you know, soft skills, if you will, so that they'll know how to work in an environment? And is it any different from a 14-year-old and a 14-year-old who may have a little bit of a disability? Is it a difference in how you train, how you help?
In terms of their age, yeah. I mean, when they're 14 years old, some of them don't even know what they want to do. They've never had any work experience at all. So we have some amazing services that get them ready for that, and some career exploration services. And we do something called the Summer Youth Work Experience, where for 5 weeks they work in the community. You know, and they get to go out and, you know, work on those soft skills and actually, you know, get a paycheck and know what it's like to have a boss and all that good stuff.
Oh my gosh. And some of the companies, I mean, what Ohio means jobs, correct?
Yes.
So you all have an opportunity to reach businesses all over the county or
Yes.
whatnot. Is there a particular company that you're trying to go after that you think would be good to help your client base?
Well, actually, we, not as much a company specific, because we do find that there are employers out there who not just hire people with disabilities, but seek to hire people with disabilities.
Okay.
And Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland-Cuyahoga County is different from both of these agencies in that we work with the universal job seeker. We have young adult services starting at age 14 as well, going up to about age 24. But then that overlaps with our adult services that start at 18 and go until the person is done working.
Okay.
So that can be, you know, whatever age that individual decides to stop working. But with regard to our partnerships and our collaborations, we're working more with agencies that serve people with disabilities and developing those mutual partnerships. So that the agency that might be working with a county board of developmental disabilities or an Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, they may be working for that agency to place people in jobs.
I see.
But there are groups of those agencies that work together to source jobs and try to make more job opportunities available to people with disabilities. And so our business service unit is trying to partner a lot more with those types of agencies, as well as we always offer services regarding education and supports to employers who are hiring people with disabilities amongst their total workforce that they're working with us on.
So if have a manufacturing company in Solon, let's say, for instance, and I need somebody to perform a task in the manufacturing space, it would be a good idea to reach out to each of your agencies or each of your organizations. And even if I have a fast food restaurant, could that be a possibility as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think the way of course, the way we work at NCBA is that we come alongside Ohio Means Jobs. You know, we always say that Ohio Means Jobs is the guru when it comes to employment in the county, if not the state. And so making sure that our individuals are assessing the opportunities and the trainings that are available there as well as at our office, then you've got these two agencies coming alongside the participant, both working for the good of that participant. And we defer a lot to in reference to our participants that are looking for employment to Ohio Means Jobs as that. So that manufacturing job, there may be more information at Ohio Means Jobs for that individual to learn about training and things of that nature to assess that job.
Okay.
And so we want to make sure that they're looking at that and assessing that. Yeah.
I think that's the unique thing about the three agencies that we have here. Ohio Means Jobs, you know, we are the local workforce agency, but in our capacities as the three of us work together, we do a lot more team-focused work.
Okay.
And we refer a lot more, I think, to each other, and then partnering to kind of like, as we like to say in my work, blend and braid funds so that, you know, if one agency is participating in one way, we're supporting in another way, and we're also supporting with job leads, and the staff can work together and really kind of make sure we're all working in a common goal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you when people are referred to positions or whatnot, is there a monitoring system? Do you go out and make sure that all is well, company's happy, and the employee or your client is happy? Is there an assessment process by
There
chance?
is for us and that falls on the responsibility of our job developer and her team, job counselors, because we're going to be working alongside of our participant. Like Cindie, we have where Cindie is on the one end of the spectrum with the young people,
Yes.
we have these older individuals who now are just coming back into the workforce. Well, the workforce looked a whole lot different when they were in it before, and so helping these individuals to prepare, retrain in reference to, you know, getting back out into the workforce. What does the workforce look like? What are you looking for in the workforce? Helping them to answer those questions. And then we work with Ohioans Jobs and our other workforce partners to slot them into those positions. But even before we do that, we place them at host agencies, one of 75 in our shop around the county, where they will sharpen old skills, learn new ones, and those nonprofits work alongside of us while they're doing that, and then members of my staff is working with that individual to find that full or part-time employment that they're looking for. They may have worked in food service in the past, but now they want to do something else. So we look at finding them the training and access to the growth and the learning that they need to be successful in that area. And working with these guys is key, and others is key in reference to that.
And when you bring that up, first thing I think about is technology. You know,
my God.
if I was in the workforce and, you know, coming out in the
Oh my
70s
God.
and now you're 2000 plus and you're dealing with laptops and all this other
Absolutely.
stuff. So,
That's pretty common, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people, they don't know how to use a computer, and they need some help with that.
I see.
Yeah.
And with seniors, it's this fear of this
Intimidation.
of this box, you know, and so that type of training, we're constantly doing what we call Computer 100. You know, just get to know you, feel comfortable with putting in an application, feel comfortable with accessing information from the different websites, and moving forward with that. Yeah.
Okay. And you all talked about just a little while ago about you work together, you partner, you know, you figure out ways where, you know, you can assist Willie's program and Cindie and vice versa, Nancy as well. I mean, is it phone calls every day? Is it just, hey, by the way, I have this client here that could really use your assistance here? How do you interface? Tell us about that. How do you interface?
Well, it starts generally with getting an indication from the individual who they're working with, and then getting release forms signed so that we have permission, because especially when you're talking about disability, health-related things, our agencies have to be very protective of that information. So we get the release form signed. At Ohioans Jobs, Cleveland-Cuyahoga, the individual will have a staff person working with them, and I'm consulting with the staff people working with them. And so I am generally the point person to reach out to the disability-focused agencies, because that's where I come from, and I know a lot of those individuals. And then we start to talk about, you know, has this person been referred? Where are they in services? So we share the information once we've got all the releases
Nice.
in place. And then we try to, you know, pick up from where that person is with that agency and talk about what, you know, how we can enhance those services.
I see. Now, I mean, all the things that you all do, each agency, just to pose the question, is this fee-based, or is it grant-based, or just come on, if you're interested in our program, come on, you don't have to worry about any out-of-pocket expense. How does that work for each of you all?
Well, for us, there is no out-of-pocket expense. We are funded by the Department of Labor and the Older Americas Act, and excuse me, and we pay our participants a stipend
Okay.
for 20 hours a week, while they are learning and growing and preparing to work. And so and we stress with them that is a stipend, because sometimes amongst our population base, they like, well, I'm going to work, this is my job. Like, great that you're thinking that way.
Okay.
But it's not.
Okay.
At the end of the day, we're looking to get you a job. So we don't, in fact, we find ourselves opening up to a variety of needs for our participants that as they're coming back into the workforce. And so reaching out to those partners that we have for it may be computer, it may be computer training, it may be getting clothing for them to dressing for success, not just name a few, or Goodwill, just to get them ready to get back out into the workforce. Yeah.
All right, good deal. We all have endured COVID-19. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say who, but somebody said that this is the first time being in an office setting, if you will, in several months. But what did you all have to deal with? How did you train? How did you engage? How did you deal with the impact of COVID-19, quarantines, people not being able to go out and interact with one another? How are you able to deal with that to continue to have a successful program?
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. I'm not going to lie. I know for at least our agency, there were some adjustments because not all of us were equipped to work from home rapidly. So there was some equipment that was purchased, and we have so many different agencies within us that I can't say that it was consistent for all of them. But a lot of phone work. A lot of talking to people and trying to get them set up. The county and Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland-Cuyahoga, partnered with PCs for People, trying to get people laptops or desktop units at their home. Disconnectivity was a big issue for a lot of our folks, so they couldn't. They came to us because we were the computers and we were the copy center and all that kind of stuff. So trying to get people connected was a big step for us. We were fortunate to have a lot more money for supportive services. So we were able to fund that way. We use those supportive service dollars for things like clothing, like you mentioned, maybe some other things that are work related in order to get that person back to work if there's specific clothing or tools they need for work. So fortunately, we still have supportive service dollars currently, and we're still working with PCs for People. And there was actually a big giveaway under PCs for People for a while with the library, with us, with a lot of different agencies. So that was something we did. We also adjusted our documentation requirements. So because like NCBA and like OOD, we're free. You have to come to us and show us that you are meet some of the eligibility requirements. So we do request documentation like driver's license or state IDs and income verification for people who are receiving unemployment. We would take documents showing that they're receiving that unemployment, and so that would connect them to a certain level of our funding stream. But we were able to do a lot of self-report. Self-attestation is what we called it. And then once the buildings were opening back up, we were able to bring those people in and get the hard documents we needed into our system to continue services in a more in-person environment. So there was just a lot of work by phone, a lot of email going on, still people applying for jobs. So we were still sourcing those jobs with our employers that were hiring. A lot of the essential jobs were the ones that we were sourcing and trying to fit people with. Unfortunately, some of that didn't always match with someone's goals, but they can still come to us and seek a job in that goal, just because they took that job that may be the Band-Aid to get them through.
Are you back up to 100% at this point?
Yes.
Oh, you are?
We're in person. Our only office that's open is 1910 Carnegie, but we are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4.
What we found in the beginning of the pandemic was the care of the people that we serve, and we found ourselves doing a lot of care calls, answering as much as we could in reference to questioning, because in the beginning of that, we called it the dark sleep. We didn't know, no one knew. And so we were answering questions as much as we could. We stayed connected to our host agencies, finding out who was open, who was not, because we had individuals that wanted to still work and wanted to still be active. And so for those that were, we worked with them, and we worked with Ohio Means Jobs in reference to that. And then for those that were at home, we were still by using the internet, finding trainings, finding information that can keep them on the ready, on the cuff, to keep them training, even if it is at home. For some of us, it was a lot of literally just printing out those trainings and taking them to their home because they didn't have the computers yet. And we too were connected to PC for People and loved them dearly. But you know, that was a work in progress as we were going through it. Now that we're fully open, we find ourselves retraining our people under this new technology. Virtual trainings, virtual job fairs, you know, conference calls, Zoom calls. A lot of that was not, you know, pre-pandemic for us.
Yeah, it's
so
amazing
we find
how
ourselves
it changed,
doing training.
you know.
The dynamic.
Yes, yeah. I think, you know, despite how horrible COVID is and was, it kind of taught us a lot. It made us do some things we might not have ever done before. So we actually created something called REACH, Refer, Educate, and Check-In. And we, you know, reached out to our people and, you know, what do you need? You know, how can we help? That kind of thing. And then we created an urgent job list where we reached out to all the employers that really needed help, because everybody kind of disappeared and they went home and didn't want to work. Because they were scared, understandably. But that really helped too, and we're still using that urgent job list, and it's worked very well. These are employers that really need people to come in and work for them. And then we also, you know, hosted 24 virtual hiring events during the COVID time. So we did quite a bit.
So like you mentioned, these virtual job fairs, these are popping up a lot, but you know, you ride around and you'll look and you'll see all of these different places looking for employees. And so you see that as an opportunity to be able to go in and have a conversation with somebody and say, hey, we're here.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Even in the midst of COVID, we knew one of the things that we knew and we were preparing for in our office, not only in Ohio, but just in our organization period, we knew there was going to be a tsunami of jobs coming to the front after we get through this. And so staying out there, staying connected to Ohio Means Jobs, staying connected to, which is now Step Forward, CEOGC, and other job source forms, so that once that happens, we would be ready to prepare our people for those opportunities that are going to come forward. And that's exactly what happened. You know, as we were coming out of this, we found employers was, you know, after we've done that big stretch, employers are like, this is what I need, you know, and vehemently looking for it.
That's
being
wonderful.
ready to give.
That's wonderful. We've talked about a lot of technical stuff. We've talked about how this program works. I sort of want to shift a little bit, just to get a little bit more personal, if you will. Some people who are watching this may say, hey, that guy looks familiar. He looks like he used to be on TV. Well, I did. You know, I'm going to be honest about that. But, you know, at one point in my career, a friend of mine asked me to be a tutor. So I went over to, I'm not going to say the community, but I went to a community and I became a tutor and teacher, if you will. And the one I gravitated to was those students with disabilities. And you would find students that they may not be mobile, but boy, oh boy, they're pretty smart in another area. They may not be verbal, but they can do some other work. When people hear the term disability, they think that the person is disabled totally. That's not the case. Am I correct? Can
Absolutely.
you share? You have an example where you can just sit back and say, I remember this person or that person who had limitations, but boy, oh boy, they were sharp as a whip in another area.
And I think that's where we should use that focus, because when we look at our participants, you know, we bring those participants in. They come to us because of a need.
Okay.
And one of the things that we want to find out, not necessarily what their limitations are, but what their strengths are, because that's what we want to help them to develop and nurture and grow. And my God, we've had several individuals that have come to our office that in any given day an employer would say, yeah, well, thanks.
Yeah.
You know, and just
We'll
kind of
call
shove
you.
you along. Yeah. But by putting those individuals in host agencies, and see, we develop that employment plan with them, and we partner with that host agency and come together with this is what the plan is going to be to help this person move to the next level. That training that they're getting at that host agency is real. And you know, and it may be if it's working at a front desk or working in food service or working in janitorial, they're learning those skills. We're able to enhance that resume. And then one of the things that we do with our people, and you know, and we tell them that we're here to support you in that, because ageism is real. You know, in reference to the workforce, you know, you look at this person and you say, you know, because he's got a little snow on the top, or no snow at all.
I'm getting there. Trust me.
You know that you know that they cannot do the work, but that whereas the engines may be a little slow, they're still sharp in other areas.
Yes,
So we look at those other areas that we can enhance and sharpen those, and work with folks like these guys to help us get them out there and get them back into the workforce.
Yeah, ladies, I want to throw the pitch to you as well. Any
Sure.
stories or analogies or thoughts that you have as
We
well?
do have a shared person. So there's a woman who came to Ohio, well, we were Employment Connection back then. This was about 2008. She was laid off from her job. She was a dishwasher at a restaurant, and she had been working full-time. At the time, $10 an hour was pretty good wages, 2008. So she had a big gap because of that wage. She went down from $10 an hour full-time to unemployment wages, which were, you know, not really helping her meet all of her needs. And she could work, and she wanted to work. She's hearing impaired, and she had a respiratory difficulty. So initially, we did try to refer her. Back then, it was Rehab Services Commission. We referred her there, but it didn't work out because of the way, just the timeline that it was taking. So I, through my agency, also had funding under our grant at that time. So the grant helped her with job development, a one-on-one person to help her get out there, talk to employers, interview with her, apply for jobs, and she got a job.
Got it.
And we were so happy. And I ended up keeping contact with her because she was going to need some other supports as she goes along, social servicey type things that she just didn't qualify for because she didn't qualify for social service agencies and a social worker. And at one point, she told me that her hearing was affected at work, and her boss said that she wasn't hearing things she needed to be able to hear.
Okay.
So that's when I said, well, you know, in order for you to keep your job, you probably need a new hearing aid, and she had hearing aids in both ears. So that was the first referral I made to Cindie. Cindie took over from there for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so we helped her get some hearing aids, and you know what a difference that makes when you can hear. You know,
my
she was having trouble with, you know, even getting messages. Her employer would call her and leave a message and say, "I need you to come in tomorrow."
And
She couldn't hear the message.
got it.
So you know they didn't understand that she wasn't. It wasn't that she was being insubordinate. She just could not hear properly. So those hearing aids made a big difference. And then she, you know, even in oral format, she was having some difficulty too because of some learning challenges.
I see.
So it's not like she could just write down things, or they could write down things, because she would struggle understanding that as well. So, yeah. So, but she has a lot of great strengths that the employer recognized. You know, she always shows up. She's there every day.
Every day.
Every day, yeah.
Wow.
Which is half the battle sometimes.
You know, we're under the banner of agencies. Each of you all are working with an agency, but at the end of the day, you're making a difference in the lives of people. Some, I would assume, because both of you all, well, all three of you all, when you were talking about those scenarios, you could feel, I could feel, that there was a sense of where you're sort of got a little tear in your eye. You know, and maybe I'm wrong, but this is my perception here. But I think I would assume that there's things that you all do every day that when you go home, you tell somebody, you say, you know what, I made a difference in that person's life.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Share with our audience, is there one, without giving a name, but just share, you know, the story of the hearing aid, helping a person. But is there anything else that you think that would be important to share so the people who are out there know how important their roles are, what they do, how they can help?
Yeah. I think for us, and for me, that tier that you talk about is real for me, because we have individuals that come to our doors with so many barriers, and think that they cannot be productive any longer, and now are just looking for a means, whatever that means is. And so to be able to take that person and re-look at their lives, and there is this one individual, I won't mention his name, but, you know, he came to us and you know, reading was an issue. He didn't finish school, but he was a productive and very focused and very driven individual. And again, that's what we're looking for. Let's find that strength. And his strength was his drive. He matriculated through our program very quickly. He was with us maybe 2 months. And we worked with him. In fact, we worked with him through Ohioans Jobs to find him a position in in food manufacturing. And he's doing really, really well now. And what's exciting for us is when we have alumni from our program that come back to us, you know, now, hey, Mr. Wright, I'm in my new apartment, and how do you like my new clothes, and I'm in my new job. And now he is a supervisor, and he's calling us, letting us know about positions that are now available at his, you know, at his place of employ. So that whole reaching out and then giving back piece is so key for us. And yeah, and when I see something like that, then yeah, that makes me know that we're, even in this, we're on the right path.
You're on the right path. You're doing
And that
it.
partnership that we have amongst ourselves is so key to make that happen for the good of the folks who we work with.
Son of a gun.
And I think it really works. I mean, with Nancy and I, sometimes she has more of a relationship with the person because she's met them first, and I might have trouble reaching them. I just reach out to Nancy, and she figures it out, and she makes it happen. So, or just having her there at the intake sometimes definitely helps because the person feels more comfortable. So, yeah.
Well, I think all of our jobs are so much about the relationships. The relationships we form with the job seekers and the training candidates, the relationships we form with each other working in this industry. And we've all been working in this industry for a while, this helping people with jobs. And we know a lot of people, and I think we are able to make those connections. We know what different agencies do. I just found out that CEOGC's changed their names, but I know people at CEOGC still. But you know, we know all the old names. We know all the little programs. We know, you know, those relationships are really important, and the relationships with the job seekers too. Because, like I said, there are some. It doesn't happen with every job seeker I meet, but there are some who I've kept more contact with for a longer period of time because they just need a little bit of something to help them get over humps.
Yes.
And especially some of those individuals who worked as essential workers all the way through the pandemic. And just having the time to help them deal with those frustrations they might feel at work, so that they could keep the job, so that they could feel like someone heard them. And then also to help them just problem solve. Well, what do I do? What can I do differently? Who can I go to with that problem?
Well, the people that work with your agencies and that you are involved with, they have to have compassion. You know, oftentimes, you know, and I go back to the school analogy, but, you know, you look at a teacher. A teacher is a nurturer, an instructor. They do all of these different things to help educate our children along the way. But I would assume that somebody that works in your offices has to have a level of compassion to make sure that somebody who may have quote-unquote limitations, but they get that listening ear.
Absolutely.
Or they get that person that would be willing to go that extra step to know that a person needs a hearing aid in order to facilitate and do their job.
Absolutely. And I think in that, it is the listening. Listening to what the needs are of our participants, even in the way, for us, even in the way that we do the intake process with our participants. You know, we'll, because it's a lot.
A lot of
and
paperwork.
so we'll go through that paperwork. But then once we get done with the state and federal and county paperwork, then we then say, okay, let's talk about what it is that you want. And then open up those ears. I tell our staff, you know, ask those open-ended questions and let that person talk. They may go off on this tangent about what they did or what they want or what they don't have, but you start deciphering what the needs are as you're developing that plan for that individual. But the first thing you're doing is that you're letting them talk. And then what they do then is that relationship between you and participant is now beginning to be knitted.
Okay.
And they're going to reach out to you and beginning to ask you those questions. So what should I do about this? Wherein I can't give you that type of advice, I can at least help you think through the process of it so you can make that decision that you need to
You sort of become a trusted advisor, even though
Absolutely.
you can't give advice in that respect. But
And sometimes you can't fix the limitation. I know a lot of people, they're always like, well, how can we change this? Sometimes you can't change it. You know, I had or it wasn't my client, it was somebody else's, but they wouldn't stop spitting. They just kept spitting. So they got him a job at a baseball field where nobody cares if you
Where
spit.
really
Indians need a few pitchers, so.
So it works. You got to meet them where they're at. You know.
That's a great point, Cindie. I mean, meeting them where they are and being able to take them to the next level and assist. I want to ask this question too: is any advice or suggestions that you may have to somebody who's tuning into this particular aspect of our seminar today? Any advice that you would have for them as far as engaging people, as far as getting them from to going into the workforce, or how you're available to them to assist anybody who may be watching?
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
I got a toughie in there. I threw a curveball.
You know, I would say that the one thing that we struggle with, we have great frontline staff, talent development, training assistant staff that work with our individuals, and they ask questions. And sometimes a person will say, I need this level of help. This is the thing I have struggled with, and this is where I need the help. Sometimes people won't tell us that because they see us like they see an employer, and they say, I can't tell them because if I tell them, they won't help me get a job.
Oh.
So when it comes to agencies like ours, I think, especially yours, it's okay to tell us what the barrier is. You don't have to tell us the name of the disability, but we need to understand the barrier.
Okay.
And how it impacts you going to work. And what do you do in your normal life when you're not working to overcome that barrier? Or if you don't do anything that relates to work, you know, what can we do? What can we brainstorm to see how we can help you? And if we don't have it in-house, then we're looking externally too. But if we don't know that you got extra time on tests in school, we might not be able to help you when it comes to an employer test.
I see.
Right. Yeah.
And so not looking at that barrier as a negative, but just as a hump.
Okay.
And it helps us guide. It helps us guide the process.
I see.
If this is a concern for you, you know, disclose that information to us so that we'll know how to best help you. And then, as I am looking for partners out in the community to work with you, I'm making sure that the help that we're getting you is focused in reference to your needs, ma'am.
Because what you all mentioned earlier, I want to go back to a little bit, you know, the hearing aid situation. Okay, somebody can physically see that, you know, potentially that Bob or Mary has a hearing aid, but I would assume that there are other limitations, if you will, that are not physical that you all have to try to work with that client on?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Do you just overarching, but you want to share some that some may not perceive or not know?
Well, literacy is one.
Oh, yes.
Not being able to read.
Right.
You know, and have been active in the workforce for years.
Okay.
And have a reading level of 4th, 5th grade. Now, back then, that was okay, because literally you could get a job at Republic Steel, at one of the manufacturing companies, do a thing and be productive. Now that issue has come back to rear its head, and you have to address it. And so we look for programs that can work with our individuals in, getting the GED, increasing their reading and writing levels, so that they can be productive. Not that they can go to college, so that they can be productive. There's a difference.
And the hardest thing now is that everything is online, and if you are illiterate, it's next to impossible. And then some of these applications are an hour long.
Sure.
And you're asked questions, you have to do assessments, and I sometimes wonder how I would even get through them, let alone somebody that has a reading challenge. So, yeah, it makes it really hard.
Are you able to assist someone be there while they're taking an assessment like that, an
Absolutely.
online
Yes,
assessment?
We do.
Yeah, we do too.
Yeah, we come alongside them and work with them in that process. I think you do your client a disservice, by telling them, okay, well, hey, this organization, this job has a application online. Go online and fill it out.
And come back to
And
us.
then
when
come
you're
back and let us know when you've done that. Well, it's not going to get done.
No.
Because the box itself has scared them to death.
Yeah.
And so literally we come alongside, let's do this together. We're literally reading through, there may be terminology that they don't understand, wording that they don't, what do they mean by this, Mr. Wright? And then just walking through that process with them. One, that your participant is learning more about the job, and then you're sharing that piece with them. This is what your employer is looking for. This is what their needs are. This is what their concerns are. And so they have a better working knowledge of the position as they go forward. So yeah, we come alongside.
Yeah.
And we also provide, we pay providers to do these services for us, some of the services, and we have job coaching and job placement. And so even if they get the job and they need some help after they start working, they have a job coach with them that will help them, even doing onboarding paperwork and things of that nature when the job first starts. If they have trouble writing or reading or whatever,
Because, like you said, that first day on the job, there's a lot that they have to go
Yes.
through.
Sure.
Yeah, even the tax paperwork, is confusing.
It's confusing to me.
For us.
Right.
I'm telling you, 401, all this, that is 413B and all that stuff. But, this has been remarkable conversation. I think I've learned a lot in what you all do, and I think our audience obviously is up to speed on a number of things. But at the end of the day, like I say, I'm an old school reporter. I ask a lot of questions, but you all do this every day. This is your life work. This is what puts that tear in your eye when you can help somebody. Is there anything else you want to share that I didn't ask? Something that you think that would be rewarding or of value to the people who are watching this seminar, that you want to make sure that they leave this process knowing, this is what your agency does, this is what your agency does, this is what your agency does, and this is how you can help and interact with us to make a better world. And
I think for us, let our participants knowing that we're going to bend over backwards to help you help you. We're not going to, you can't come to NCBA and sit back and we do all the work, because then it means that growth means nothing to you, because it's not your growth. And we even kind of include that in our terminology. We're going to come alongside of you. We're going to partner with you to help you find that position that you're looking for. And there is, no barrier is too much of an issue. We're going to work around those. We're going to get over those. We're going to come along. We're going to bring our partners to the table. We're going to do whatever we can to work with you, to partner with you to find that employment that you're looking for. And I think when our participants see that, that's what creates the strong word of mouth for us.
Okay.
Because they will say, "Hey, listen, go to NCBA because they're gonna work with you. They're gonna help you."
Okay.
And so at the end of the day, that's what's
A
important.
lot of referrals, a lot of word
Absolutely.
of mouth, and a shout out to the churches as well and places of
Absolutely.
worship that help and funnel that information.
Absolutely.
And Nancy or either one, Nancy or Cindie, any thoughts?
I would tell people that, come to us if you need some assistance. If you have a disability, at least try it and see if it's going to help. I think a lot of people identify with their job. If they don't have a job that fulfills them, or if it's not a good fit, or if they are miserable at their job, then they're going to be miserable in their life. And it's a struggle sometimes. Their boss might not understand their disability. We can help with all that. So the whole process, it doesn't take that long. They come in, we make them eligible within 30 to 60 days, and then we move right on into, doing a plan with them. We try to figure out their vocational goal and what services they need, and then any supportive services that go along with that, we can help with that. Whatever they need to maintain their job or get that job. So I just think that, there's some great services out there for all of us that can benefit people.
You talked about support. What about family support? Is the family very important in this process as well?
They can be.
Okay.
They can be. It really depends on how connected that individual is to family. Some of the individuals we work with, family is transporting them, or they are, supporting them in other activities that kind of relate to getting that person to work, maybe making sure that person is up and going on time to get places. And that those supports are really important. And sometimes the individual may not even remember that's what family's doing in support of them.
Right.
But when people are less connected to those supports, especially family, I think it's harder because they end up needing more other supports that we have to find.
Right.
And oftentimes we find that they're coming back into the workforce to support family, and they are the caregivers of a parent or aging parent or a child or a grandchild, and so now they have to come back into the workforce, and so that piece along with family is just as important. So knowing that helps us help them.
Transportation, because Nancy, when you mentioned that, but transportation, everybody doesn't have a vehicle.
Nope.
Everybody
Right.
has a car. So is there opportunities to assist in that way? Are you connected with the Regional Transit Authority, RTA, to be able to give a bus stipend or something like that? Do your organizations do anything like that?
We do. Yeah, I think we all do, because that's a need. That's a supportive service that we will offer. And so you let us know what that need is.
Okay.
Do we want to become the crutch to become your transportation for the full time you're on the program? No, but we're going to be that hump over.
Okay.
And then we're going to look at the stipend that we're giving you, how we can budget out of that to make sure that transportation is there, to make sure that you get where you need to go to continue to do what you need to do. But yeah, at the initial part, I think we all
We
have to
provide
stack the
travel
bus
training
tickets.
where we actually teach them how to ride the bus and how to get the different, connections, and because those connections can be a little tricky. You have to get off one, get off another, and then the person follows them in their car in the last session to make sure they actually do get off at those correct spots.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, there's some really good services that can help.
There's a lot that goes into what you all do every day. And I would assume, you're not talking about a caseload of 1 or 2 or 10 people. You got a significant caseload to try to identify the needs and assess what is needed. Your staff size, I know Ohio Means Jobs is across the state of Ohio, so you're a large entity. But, you know, Willie, your staff size?
Here in Ohio, it's about 10 of us. We have a staff of 10, but 7 of the members of our staff are participant staff. These are individuals that have come to our program to find employment in our program, and we saw the skills and the gifts that they bring to the table, and so we brought them into the office. In fact, that's how I came to the program.
Okay.
Yeah, and we utilize them. But you know, one of the things we say to our staff, as you are working and serving others, serve yourselves.
Okay.
So our office is very, we call it revolving door, because some of the great people that we have working with us find opportunities for themselves and move on.
Keep them name
Yeah.
tags, huh? There you go.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
that's great.
That's true.
Anything else you'd like to add? Again, this has been a robust conversation. I appreciate each and every one of you all for sharing. You know, and again, for our audience, there were a couple of times there might have been a tear to drop here or there, but at the same time, the reason why is because you do such great, extraordinary work. And I'm sure that, like you said, when you get up every day, you feel good about what you've done to assist other people. So I think I'm going to get close to wrapping up here, but again, I want to give you an opportunity. Anything you want to say to the audience? Anything that you want to leave the participants of this project and this program with?
I just want to make sure they know how to refer. That would be important. So I'm just going to give the website. Is that okay?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so you can go to www.oodworks, which is WORKS.com. So that would be the online method, or you can look it up on the internet and obviously call the main office. We have a Lakewood office,
Okay.
216-227-3250. So they can call that number as well to get them scheduled in. But we have offices all over the state of Ohio. So
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Monday through Friday.
Yep, Monday through Friday. Yep.
Monday through Friday.
Not Saturday or Sunday.
Nance, your turn, Nancy.
Sure. Well, I only represent Ohio Means Jobs, Cleveland-Cuyahoga County.
Okay.
But all of the Northeast Ohio counties have at least an office for Ohio Means Jobs located in them. Not all of them are staffed the same way. They're all allowed to operate individually. But if you go to the Ohio Means Jobs website, you can find county listings for each county's office. Or you can call us and we'll help you figure it out. We're at 216-777-8200.
Got it.
And at NCBA, we're there Monday through Friday as well. Monday through Thursday is pretty much where the majority of the staff is there. And so you can give us a call, of course, at 216-721-9197. And our staff will work with you to get you acclimated, see what your needs are, and get you started. And I guess also I want to say that we know at NCBA that we can't even begin to do any of the work that we do without the partners that we have. So we really do appreciate, working with partners like Ohio Means Jobs and Office of Disabilities and the many other partners that we work with to serve the individuals that we serve. It literally is a collective effort.
Kudos, bravo, and thank you. Appreciate you all for sharing the information, and we hope that we're going to continue to do well in the rest of the seminar. But again, I want to thank Nancy, Cindie, and Willie for providing this very important information to us. We believe that this is going to be a springboard to help people with unique solutions to build strong and inclusive workforce here in Northeast Ohio. And I'm confident that our viewers, you all who are sitting out there and watching, have a better understanding of what these organizations do and what they're doing to connect people who may have limitations. Don't want to use the term disability at this point. They have limitations. But what they're trying to do is to help them take advantage of every opportunity so that they can have the best life they possibly can. So at this time, what we're going to do is we're going to take your questions out there in the audience. I hope that you all have plenty of them. Look forward to answering them, and we'll see you shortly.